Hello. Apologies long in advance if I cough a lot during this recording. Talking. Oh wow, already off issues. Talking this much for these videos makes my throat get really dry, so I gotta drink lots of water. So I'll be taking pauses to do that and try not to cough as much as I can. Now, if you're going through my playlist to find these videos, you might be wondering, why is this video in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Omega recordings playlist? That is because uh, I wanted to build this in Omega, but I was like, screw it. And I was already on my PlayStation anyway, so I just re-downloaded Master Duel. I decrafted every card that I had on my main PlayStation account that wasn't specifically the Fiendsmith stuff, since I could throw that in anything. And I made a Orcust deck because I like Orcust with the new support. And if you remember the Orcust opponent that I fought recently, I should have their deck list still. Nope. Oh wait, no, it was in my duels, that's why. I played against a person using Orcust with the new support, and I managed to beat them. If you haven't seen it out, I believe it's the Masso 5 list and replay. Masso list and replay is 5. It should be inside that recording, I believe. Was it this one? No, that was not it. This one. Nope, it's Dark World. Here it is. So, this is the Orcust deck my opponent was playing. I think it's pretty standard, and I kind of emulated the deck myself. I made a few changes that probably aren't the best, but I like them. My extra deck is nowhere near refined as theirs. I am missing so many cards just because I straight up do not have the resources for them, and I just thought, like, I can't. I need to figure something out, because it took me 480 ultra rares to build this deck. Like, the original Orcust support, or the original Orcust cards, there was not one UR because Girsu was, like, limited or banned. And then when Girsu came back, it's like, okay, Orcust only has one UR, besides, or I guess Dingirsu. But everything else was SR or lower, so it was really nice. So I made my own version, and it's still very much in progress. I am missing, gosh, I probably another 200 UR dust before it's anywhere near what I need it to be. But for now, should be able to. This is my PlayStation account. You may recognize it from previous videos. I had a Masochist account on here, but I just purged all the cards, so no longer will I be using this to practice Masochist against, but that's okay. I checked the replays that I put there. There it is. This is the most recent version of the deck. I'm playing a copy of Brass Bombard because it does come up in my opinion, and I think it's worth it. I'm playing 2 copies of Nightmare, which also comes up in majorly. I'm playing 2 Fua, 2 Perulia, because while Fua is very generic, I do like Perulia a lot too, and I'm fine. I like playing 2 and 2 instead of just 3 Fualos. I'm playing a second copy of Orchestrated Return, and I'm playing a second copy of Crescendo. Both of these have immensely helped me. Like, I feel like I'm having a much easier time because I'm playing these cards too. I'm playing a Foolish Burial Goods, but once I get the 3 copies of Dominus Purge I'm looking for, this will be going out, and then so will these 2 Nightshades. Nightshade, if you're wondering, I'm playing this because you use it for full Orcust combo. If you are new to Yu-Gi-Oh! Or you didn't play during the format where Orcust was very prevalent, there was a joke going around that any 2 monsters with different names means you have full Orcust combo on board. Because of this card, Nightmare Mermaid, which can be made by using any Nightmare monster, and on summon, you discard a card to summon a Nightmare from your deck, and hey, would you look at that, Orcust Nightmare is a Nightmare. So As long as you can make any link to Nightmare with just two monsters different names, you turn that into a Nightmare Mermaid, and then Nightmare Mermaid, pitch a card for Orcust Nightmare, boom, you got full Orcust combo from there. So the way this list will hopefully look in the future is 3 Droll, 3 Purge, swapping out these and the 2 Trickstars, Brass Bombard, 2 Maxi, 3 Ash, 3 Symbol, 3 Harp, 3 Girsu, 2 Perulia, 2 Fuelos, 1 World Crown, 1 Orcust Nightmare, or 2 Orcust Nightmare rather, 1 World Wand, a Foolish Burial, 2 Return, 1 Babble, 2 Called By, 3 Hornet Drones, and 2 Crescendo. And the extra deck will hopefully soon be 2 Dingirsu, and I would like to have a second copy of Galatea, and kind of would like to have a second copy of Enlong Girsu. This came up, like, it was so crucial that I had this card, and not having access to a second copy of this, like, legitimately almost cost me the game. You will see what I'm talking about very shortly, but yeah, and I would have the space because I can easily take out the 2 Trickstars once the Trickstars are gone, and then I just threw this thing in because, hey, it's a generic Dark Link that I can make, but honestly, I could even just take out Nightmare Cerberus, since I won't be able to activate anyways, and just keep the Nightmare Phoenix, and then, hey, 1, 2, 3, those slots open back up. Plus, I can take out Link Karibo, since I don't have that many ways to make it. It's just another Link 1 Dark I can make. That does sometimes come up. But enough yapping, let's get to the games. This first game, these are replays from my PlayStation account, not my Masochist, so don't worry, none of these cards are gonna get mixed in with my Masochist account. I know, it's all good. This first game, I believe, will showcase the full Orcust combo when using Girsu. I have, by the way, just killer hand, Maxi, Ash, and then 3 Orcust cards, honestly great. So this is the combo for if you start with Girsu. You go normal Girsu, send Orcust Harpor from deck to graveyard. Then use his on-field effect because you control no other monsters to summon a token to both fields. Link the token for Galatea Eye. Use Galatea Eye, pitch a card from your hand to get Babble. And I'm purposely not sending certain cards just to feel like this is what you need, is just the cards in hand to pitch and all this other stuff. So then now I link the Girsu and the Galatea Eye for Galatea Original. Then I banish the Harpor to summon Nightmare from deck. Now I use Galatea to recycle the Harpor and set the counter trap. Now here I somewhat mess up because I make Dingirsu now. Part of me wished I did Galatea Eye first to banish this, so then Girsu could use the effect to attach, but it's honestly probably better to instead just summon him here still anyways, get rid of the token so your opponent doesn't have a token they get to use for free material on their turn. However, this will turn back on things like Imperm, but I feel like they'd probably just shotgun that immediately anyways. So, send the token, then use Galatea Eye, banish the Girsu to summon itself, link 3 into Long Girsu, the Orcust Orchestrator, then you go Nightmare, target him, send World Wand, then World Wand banish itself to target the Nightmare again, and bring back the Nightmare, and link these into Enlong Girsu. Then Enlong Girsu targets the Girsu and adds him back to hand. So what does this board have? This board has an Omni-Negate in the form of a counter trap card. It turns all of my Orcust monsters that are Link monsters or in the graveyard into quick effects. So that means all of these Link monsters can use their effects at quick effect speed now, and all of the main deck monsters can banish themselves from the graveyard at quick effect speed. So, we have the counter trap, the cards can be quick effects now, which means that this copy of Orcust Nightmare can just buff anything by a few hundred attack, but more importantly, it can send a copy of Symbol Skeleton. And Symbol Skeleton will revive the Dingirsu, the Orcust of the Evening Star, which on summon will send a card your opponent controls to the grave, like it did with a token. However, because I'm banishing the Nightmare, I can banish the Nightmare, and now that turns on Enlingirsu, who, since he's a quick effect, can add it back to my hand, and then shuffle back any card from my hand into the deck to non-targeting take control of a monster my opponent controls forever. And then if Enlingirsu ends up in the graveyard, well, so long as Babel is still on the field, I can banish him to send a card my opponent controls to the graveyard. So we have a steal, a Omni-Negate, and a send, and then a possible second send if they out this by getting it to the grave. And this is all off of just Girsu and then pitch any card. I'm now going to just end the replay because this is a well-known bot. If you ever see Wooly, it's just a bot. 9 times out of 10, the game won't let you play them. That's what happens to me. Like, I guess Master Duel tries to prevent them from even getting into duels. Kind of hate that because it means it's no free wins from a Masochist series. But whatever. This next one, I don't think it was a bot, I just think it was a bad player. But this showcases the combo of the Nightmare package. So instead of doing normal summon Girsu, this is get 2 monsters with different names. Now this also does not take your normal summon, depending on the cards you have. In this case, if you use the Sky Striker Mecha Hornet Drones package of 3 Hornet Drones and 1 Kagari, then this instead does not need your normal. You can also add 3 Engage to search the Hornet Drones if you really desperately want starters, but you don't need to. So, we will first Hornet Drones, get the token, link the token for a Kagari, Kagari effect, get back the Hornet Drones, then Hornet Drones, summon a token, that's 2 monsters with different names, so I just make Cerberus. I activate the Foolish Bearer of Goods to get the Crescendo and Grave, so I have the banish on my opponent's turn or my own turn. But you can only use the effect to search any Dark Machine if you have only summoned Dark Machines that turn, which doing this version of the combo does not play that around, so that's another reason I don't really like the Foolish Bearer of Goods. It's good for, like, if you draw as a one-of, it can get you to Girsu, but it's not worth it in my opinion. So go Nightmare, we pitch a card, get the Nightmare. Then now go Galatea with the Nightmare, pitch another card, get the Babel, then activate the Babel. Now with Nightmare, you send something, you send Harp Horror, and you summon these into Galatea. And then you go Harp Horror to summon Girsu from the deck. I'm just doing this now so it doesn't ask me later. I chose to shuffle back the Orcust Nightmare. I really wish I shuffled back the Harp Horror. It was a mistake to shuffle the Nightmare. You should shuffle back the Harp Horror there. So then send the Symbol Skeleton with the Girsu. Then banish a Orcust card from your graveyard. This depends heavily on what you put there, because I was lucky enough to draw a Orcust card there, so I could just banish that. However, if you don't have an Orcust card to banish, then you just have to banish whatever you send, which isn't as good, sadly, but there is still things you can do to play around it. Case in point, like, I could have, instead of banishing Girsu immediately, I could have made Dingirsu first, then grabbed back what should have been Nightmare, then go Dingirsu and Girsu to make a second copy of Galatea, and then banish the Galatea for Galatea I to turn that into Long Girsu. Unfortunately, that's not what I did, but it's okay. So I attach the card that, again, it should be Nightmare there, and make the Long Girsu. So this board isn't as impressive. You still have the quick effect summon to send a card. by using Symbol Skeleton to get back the Dingirsu. But that's kind of all you got going for you. You've got the Omni Negate, and then depending on how your opponent plays their zones, you have a Send. But that's kind of all you got working for you. It's still certainly passable. I have seen worse. But you're not going to be winning any tournaments with this, I think. The key thing I really love about Orcust is that it kind of doesn't lose to Droll. Because if we take a look at the deck list, this was a real player, they were playing really bad heroes. They were playing some hero card that came out when like heroes are first introduced. It's not good. But if we take a look at the deck list, of the cards in this deck that search, we've got the Orcust Crescendo Graveyard effect that searches. We've got Orchestrated Return, which draws you 2 cards. And we've got Galatea Eye adding a Babel or a World Legacy monster. So, because of this, those are your only 3 main deck ways, besides the Charmies and the Maxi, to add a card from deck to hand. So, if your opponent has Droll, they are essentially hand looping themselves, which is nice, gets a resource out of their grip. And that's like one of the big things I really wanted, was I wanted cards that don't lose to the cards I hate with a burning passion, which is Lingering Floodgates. And because I would much rather deal with a lingering draw a card effect than a lingering you can't play this aspect of the game. I think card design like that is stupid. That's why I hate Droll, because it says you can't play search cards, when at this point Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a lot of you will put a card in your deck because you know you will see it. And Droll says you're not allowed to do that anymore, which is just very antithetical to the game's design. Same thing with Lancia. Lancia exists as a silver bullet to banish decks, and says you don't get to play the game. Which is like, I don't think there should be cards that just outright read, you don't get to play the game. I think that's stupid. And then Dimension Shifter. You activate that card, graveyard, or like decks that rely on the graveyard, cool, they're no longer allowed to play. Dude, that's so fair. So, I would much rather deal with something fair than that. And unfortunately, because it's Master Duel, and there's way too many Ryzeals and Mitsurugis and freaking Malice, it's ridiculous. Speaking of Mitsurugi, in the 2,000 gems I spent to attempt to get the Galatea Eye from the Lingirsu from the pack, I pulled 2 copies of the Purple Ritual and 2 copies of Mitsurugi no Aramasa, and I pulled 2 copies of Prayer, meaning I was 4 or 5 ultra rare cards away from getting to have a Mitsurugi package. And Mitsurugi does work for this, because I believe it does set up a board that lets you end, if you finagle your cards right, with 2 monsters on board with different names. Meaning you can do full Mitsurugi and then go full Orcust combo. Now, this would take up a lot more deck space, because you would need 3 Habakiri, 3 Aramasa, 3 Saji, 3 Prayers, and then the Ritual spells. But, I mean, you could easily do that and swap out the hand traps. Like, you could take out a second copy of Return, like I have. Take out the Drolls. Take out the Charmies. Maybe go, like, 1 or 2 lower on, like, Harpor and Skeleton. You could take out the Brass Bombard. Heck, you could take out the Sky Striker stuff. It would make the deck much, much better, but it is also much, much more expensive, and this deck is already way too expensive as is. But now let's get to the actually good game. This was against a real player. They were playing a Regenesis deck, and it also has some Alistair in it, which it makes sense. Makaba's got 25. And I'm so glad they weren't playing a Second Birth. If they were playing a Second Birth, I was screwed. But let's get to the game. This is one of the most fun games I've had playing Yu-Gi-Oh in so long, and I hate that it has taken me this long to get to have fun playing the game again. At least this version. I've been having a lot of fun in Speed Duel for Duel Links. So I go first. Or they go first, rather. But, I mean, I'm essentially going first because I have Maxi. They go summon Cash Unicorn. I'm like, well, that sucks because I don't want them banishing any of my one-ofs, which is like all of them. Because if you notice, I only have 2 of this and 2 of this, and everything's a fun of. So the cards you desperately want to make sure Unicorn can never keep you off of is Dingirsu, Galatea Eye, and honestly Enlin Girsu. You want to make sure you always have these 3 at 2 copies, so a rogue Unicorn cannot take you out. Because this game shows you what happens if you do, or if you don't. So they use Unicorn, and they search Birth. And my mistake was honestly not drolling here. Like, I was like, maybe I can get some more cards, but I didn't want to droll because I knew it was going to get rid of another one of my resources. So I was like, no, I'll wait. So they go Birth, I'm like, that's fine. Then they go Regenesis, I'm like, oh. So I know that this card searches when it's summoned, so I'm like, okay, I have to droll this now. So I droll, they cast Unicorn. I should mention, when they cast your Unicorn, they instantly banish Dingirsu. For all the other ones, there was a little bit of a delay. The moment that this thing started resolving, Unicorn, like, Dingirsu was immediately banished face down. There, no pause. So they reveal Regenesis Warrior, to still summon Regenesis Archfiend, and then they summon Warrior. So their board currently banishes a card from my extra deck if I activate a monster effect. They can target a card I control and bounce it. Or no, it's a target a monster I control and bounce it. And then if I ever activate a spell card, they can banish up to 3 cards in my grave face down. And then, so I draw for turn, and I get this. They activate Lancia. And I'm like, well, frick. Because while Lancia is meant for Malice, it also does completely destroy Orcust. There are still ways to play around a Lancia, like if you've been Lancia'd, but they are incredibly difficult and draw dependent. So, thankfully, I have the Sky Striker package in here. So I go Kagari, use the Kagari, get back Hornet Drones. They decide to tribute their Regenesis Warrior, get rid of her, which is like, okay, I would have waited, but okay. Get back the Hornet Drones. They waited for Unicorn, by the way. Go Hornet Drones. There's good reason to play the Link Karibo here to turn that into a token. Then go Dingirsu, send the Nightmare for next turn. Link Dingirsu for Galatea Eye. Galatea Eye, pitch this Harp Horror to search the World Crown. Because I didn't want to activate Babel because I didn't want to get banished, but I realize now, like, oh, I could have. They can't banish me either. So I go Phoenix. I pitch this Foolish Burial to get rid of it. Then I go Mermaid. And I pitch the Crown that I searched to get another copy of Nightmare. Then I summon Galatea. Now imagine if I had Girsu, man. If I had Girsu, I could just use Girsu and like send one of these and go battle. But I'm like not favored because then they get to summon back the Archfiend, and then they get both the Archfiend and the Warrior back, and they get to summon both and then search another card, and it's just much more difficult. So it is better for me to just sit on a Galatea here, sadly. And again, note, they didn't use Cashier Unicorn at any time because Lancia prevented them. So they get back the Warrior. They drew another Regenesis, I guess, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to banish this to keep it out of their graveyard. Because I don't want it to resolve in the first place, but I also don't want it to be in their graveyard for a future turn. They summon this, tribute it to put back my Galatea, then they use the first copy they had to get him back, and I am just barely not dead. Like, I am so lucky that I did not die here. Now, what is very interesting is they didn't Xyz summon. Now, I don't think they're playing it, but had they played a copy of Red Eye's Metal Flare Dragon, I was dead. Because they Xyz these two into it, and I cannot play a card. And if I do, I die. So they would have won, but they don't, so I have a chance. I top deck Girsu, one of the best cards I can draw, but now that I have my graveyard, like, my graveyard stack, I got 2 Nightmare, I got a Harpor, I got a Girsu, like, I am ready to destroy them. So I normal the Girsu, because I'm like, okay, I can get the token, which gives me a free material, let's do this. They immediately bounce Girsu. I'm like, thank you, you make my life so much easier. I'm like, okay, if I can get to Enlong Girsu, then I can take the Unicorn, and I can start ripping from them, and that's a resource gone, and hopefully I can start snowballing my way back. They then banished the Enlong Girsu from my deck. I'm like, well, I guess I just don't deserve to have nice things. So I'm like, okay, backup plan. So I banish the Girsu Engraved to summon out the Galatea. I then send the Girsu they put back in my hand to get the Babel. This is the one search I'm going to need, usually. Activate Babel, so all these are quick effects. Use the Harpor to get a Symbol Skeleton. Link 2 into the Galatea that they put back. Galatea effect to put back one of the Girsus. And set the counter trap. Key. Then I can use Nightmare to buff the Galatea and send Brass Bombard. This will be important. This is why I play it. Go World Wand so I can get back the Harpor. And I decide to Crescendo now, because now that I have Brass Bombard engraved, I can summon whatever I'm searching if it's an Orcust. Which matters. So a World Wand will bring back this. I link this into Long Girsu. Then I the Symbol Skeleton, get back the Galatea. Then I Brass Bombard, banish itself, get the Orcust Symbol Skeleton again on field. Link these into Azalea Temperance. Azalea Temperance, take their copy of Regenesis Archfiend so it won't trigger because I'm not letting it go to the grave. Then I shuffle back Nightmare and World Wand to send the Unicorn, but this won't attack. I go in for 25, then pass turn. They get Warrior back in end phase, and now they have Warrior, an Unknown, and whatever they draw for turn. Now, fun fact about the Regenesis cards, you don't have to have the card with 2500 attack or defense. They just need to be on the board somewhere. So me having these means my opponent can summon their stuff for free. So they summon Warrior, and then they immediately Warrior to bounce the Azalea Temperance, which, that's not the card you should be bouncing, but okay. And then they set 1. So I go Long Girsu effect, shuffle back 2, send their linked card to the grave. Then I got Harpor, summon Girsu, Girsu effect, and they submit. Dude. And if they ever activated a card effect that I thought truly was going to threaten me, I had the Crescendo. Now, I'm assuming that Droll is what they drew for turn, and whatever that last card in hand was, it wasn't a spell trap, and it wasn't something they could summon. Because, had that card been Droll, this person's so heavy on the frickin' shotgunning of cards, they would have just shotgunned it. So, that means whatever it was a card that couldn't do anything for them on that board state. Which, I imagine they probably had, like, Invocation. Like, this is the only card in this deck I can imagine they had that did absolutely nothing for them during my turn, and there was no way around any of it. So they probably had Invocation in their hand, and then they drew a copy of Droll and Lockbird for turn. So, they were kind of doing all that they could do. They put up a valiant effort. I was still able to stem the bleeding even with being under Lancia. So cool. And, yo, Azalea Temperance coming up especially because it's my royal copy. That's so awesome, dude. Like legitimately, I ooh, I got this in my Masochist series on that PlayStation, by the way. Like when I pulled this card, I was so happy because I have a rule like Hard Leg does, where if you pull a royal rare, you get to open one pack of the set that it's from, and this is from the Striker pack, so I got a Striker set. I mean, it didn't give me much. I had two Hornet drones already, I believe, but that was about it. But yeah, this is the deck I had. Hopefully soon it will be changed to the things I mentioned before of replace this and this and this with 3 copies of Purge. So it's less starters but more hand traps. And then replacing these two and the Cerberus with second copies of Dingirsu, Galatea I, and Enlangirsu. I think this list could honestly be good enough to get you into Master. I have truthfully never reached higher than Platinum, and that is entirely because I don't play the game. Like, there have been several times where I wanted to play the game, but I didn't want to play what was meta because I was like, no, I don't like doing that. Uh, and it just wasn't fun to play. And even right now, especially, it's super hard to want to play Master Duel with a lot of the decks running around, especially since they're so darn expensive. Like, seriously, if you want to play a good Mitsurugi deck, you are, and then everything else is like an SR lower. Like at least they made this an SR. If this was a UR as well, that would be evil. If the ritual spell and this were URs, dude, we'd be like needing to riot because that's ridiculous. So it's really expensive to make these, and it all depends on luck, which is gotchas in a general. So if you are very unfortunate, you could spend 10,000 gems and not be able to build this still, and that's what really sucks about Master Duel when you compare it to Omega. On Omega, I don't have to spend like any money, number one, in order to play the cards. I can just play them. But then I also don't have to spend time loading up Master Duel and just doing my dailies. Being like, okay, what do I gotta do for my dailies? Do I have a deck that can do this easily? Okay, let's go. And then I go into ranked because you can only get your stupid missions done in ranked in events. I don't know why Konami didn't make it so you can get your missions done in casual, because you should be able to get missions done in casual. There's no reason to play casual other than like, oh, I'm in a high rank and I don't want to D rank when I play. Because, like, there's no reason to play it, man. It's useless. But if you sat here for these 30 something minutes to watch me play, thank you so much. Hopefully, I'll be back with more Masochist content soon. Uh, Still working on the Master Rank 4 deck. I got 10 more Legacy Pack tickets, so I opened them up. Best thing I got out of them was Dice Foon and a second copy of Ningirsu. I did get Proof in S, which reminds me I should check. Do I have any? Nope. Because I was checking to see if I had any of the Sword Soul traps, because that meet with Proof in S and those, that's an instant level 9 synchro, but it's fine, I don't. So hopefully the next time you see me, it will either be more content about Orcust, or it will be on Master Duel, or it will be more Masochist, or who knows, maybe I'll be playing some other game like I've been, and then upload a short video that's no audio of just me fighting something or whatever. Anyways, see you later, and remember to drink some water, because I'm definitely super thirsty, and you should hydrate. Later.